This is a Crack House Chronicles production.
Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that says, nothing ruins a Friday night like realizing it's Sunday night. It's Dale.
Yeah, that's not ever good, is it?
Man,
it seems like you're having the best day ever on Sunday, and you realize it's a Sunday.
Well, it starts getting down about 4 or 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, and you're just looking at it, the clock. You're thinking, crap, Monday morning's waiting out in the vehicle for me.
Yeah, you start figuring it out. If I go to bed now, I can.
Yeah.
What time do I need to go to bed so I can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I can get this many hours of sleep if I go to bed now.
So I got to fit all this scheduling in right quick.
Yeah, then you go to bed and you think about all the stuff you hadn't thought about during the day.
It's awful.
Yeah, it is. It's a vicious cycle, man.
Same old stuff.
Yeah, it's life. We can laugh about life, man.
Yeah, that's it, man.
What's going on today, dude?
You know, same old, same old.
Same old, same old.
Back in the house, man, doing it up.
Doing an episode, doing it up right.
Mm-hmm.
You got any good shout-outs to anybody you want to talk about?
Hey, look at there. Got us a brand new Apple 5-star review, and this comes from Coach Helton.
Coach Helton.
Yeah, Coach Helton, so watch out.
Well, I hope you don't make me do any squat thrust.
Yeah, me neither. I don't even want to see you do a squat thrust. That's the worst name ever for a damn exercise. Anyway, here it goes. Good storytellers. I found this podcast after seeing someone share on Facebook, so whoever it was, we appreciate you. They were discussing a well-known crime that occurred close to where I live. It sounds like you walked into a southern house and two friends were talking about a topic that they know a lot about and making the story easy to comprehend. The very best of luck, gentlemen.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
How better can you get than that?
That's pretty close to what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
We appreciate you, Coach Elton, and don't make Donnie or do squat thrust.
No, it's
I
not.
hate that name.
Doing me in my late 50s doing squat thrust, it wouldn't be a pretty sight.
No.
No,
No, I dodged them with everything I got.
It would be a label over the photograph, graphic content. If I would do squat thrust, let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. We appreciate it. If anybody else wants to be like Coach Helton and go to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star rate and review, you can. You can also leave a rate on Spotify and write something about each episode there if you want to.
Yeah, and some people have been knocking it out on Spotify, and we'll give us some more shouts out. Shouts out. Is that a word? Shouts out? We'll do some more shouts out with that.
It is today.
Next week for sure.
Yeah.
We appreciate all you guys. It means a lot.
Man, it's just amazing, people, the love we get.
Feeling the love, Donnie.
Yeah,
Feeling the love.
It's awesome. All right, Dale, we've got a great episode this week, and when we get back, we're going to get into it, man.
Can't wait.
All right, Dale, we are back. And you know, on episode 118, we covered the Tylenol murders.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
And it was surprising how many people don't remember that.
Don't remember it. They don't know anything about it. And people our age that don't know anything about it.
Right.
Yeah. And we actually re-released that, easy for me to say, we re-released that episode on 238 episode.
Yes.
Because we had a follow-up with that, and we actually interviewed a lady by the name of Michelle Rosen.
We did.
Her mother, Lynn Reiner, was one of the Tylenol murder victims, yes, in this case. And we have been in touch with Michelle ever since then.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, and she has become a great friend, not only to the show, but to us.
Yeah.
Awesome lady, just super nice. And it's been a year since we've had her on.
It has.
Last November.
Mm-hmm.
So we are so pleased to have Michelle back on the show to give us some updates on some things that's been happening with her in this case.
In her continued fight.
Yes, fighting a good fight.
Yeah, for sure.
So welcome back, Michelle.
Well, good morning, boys. Thank you for having me back.
She called us boys.
Oh, Lordy B.
Okay, men, guys,
Lordy B.
podcasters.
Aw. Yeah, we are so glad to have you back.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Last year, when you did such a great job, I loved it. It was the first podcast I had ever done and gave the trust to somebody to take this information, not edit it, and put it out there of things that people, have never heard before and be open to it. So that was really great. Lots of things have happened since then.
Well, hopefully we can get into that. Yeah.
I'm going to have updates after 42 years, a 43-year-old case.
Wow.
Still, it's a constant update. Still, it's completely relevant and is still going.
So hopefully we can get some more information out of you and find out what's been going on. So, in the past year, you did a Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
How did that go for you? What was that like?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Well, the last time when you had interviewed me, I had already done the interview. The show just didn't come out. Those things take years, right?
Right.
And so I couldn't really talk about it in our November interview last year. But I wanted to, but I had no idea how it would be presented. I know what I did in my 7-hour interview with them. They flew to Texas, and I did this 7-hour thing, scared to death. What are they going to do? How are they going to spin my information that I have? And to my surprise, 8 months later, it came out, and they did an absolute beautiful job with it. I was 100% shocked. I didn't have a problem with it at all. I think that was between your podcast and the Netflix series that was Cold Case, Tylenol Murders by May 26th. May 26th that came out and was released. So I can't believe the amount of support. I can't believe what was on it. I can't believe there's other people now talking with questions and questioning the official narrative, which all I wanted them to do was create doubt in the real story. And then I watched it and saw that there were so many other interviewees on there that were questioning it too. So I find that fabulous.
Yeah. So the Janus family, you didn't have any idea what the other people that were being interviewed, what they were going to say and what their take on it was, did you?
No, I had no idea. I did learn I knew from the producers when working with them, before I said yes. I knew that the James Lewis was already interviewed. I knew that, and I just told them, if this is going to be a James Lewis show, I want to have nothing to do with it. I want to talk about the facts and create doubt. I'm so tired of hearing about James Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yes, he was in there and that happened. But the only other person I knew that they said that they had and interviewed, which I was very excited about, was Joe Chavez. And Joe Chavez was that Kane County deputy sheriff that stumbled upon the tainted cyanide in the Howard Johnson motel the morning before the murders and didn't know what he had, come across and what he had discovered and how relevant it really was. And to my knowledge, when I called him back in 2009, when I was trying to find him, trying to find out what happened that day, and he told me, do you know nobody ever called me to do an interview? Nobody ever followed up with what happened to me. And I told him a little bit of what I had discovered. He was, more than shocked. And then to see him on this, I was completely excited.
Wow.
And justified.
Yeah. I thought he was a great part of it.
Going on. Yeah.
When they were interviewing you, did you know any of the questions beforehand? Did they give you like a list of things they were going to go over? Or you just sort of go in it on your own? How did that work?
Yes, they did give me a list of questions, and I asked anyone who wants to interview me for something like that when you're on camera. I'd like to know in advance. But it was 6 pages worth, 7 pages worth. More of family, this and that. But then what am I doing? How did I discover this? What are my feelings? All of those things. So, yeah, so it was good. And just like your interview or anybody else's, the only thing that's off the table, I told them, scratch that out, is I don't speak for anybody else about people's feelings, my family included, other victims' family members. That's for them to say if they feel like. And if they want to be private, who am I to be talking about conversations or thoughts that I've had, with them? So that's completely out of respect for anyone involved. If they want to speak, they will.
Well, that's just who you are,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did they give you any indication when you were talking to them or doing the interview how they were leaning toward the whole Tylenol murder situation, or did they just sort of keep that to themselves, or did they express an opinion on it during that time?
Well, that's a good question, because when I had declined this interview for about 2 years. And at the time, this was going to be on another network, another platform. And I just said, no, thank you. And then once Joe Berlinger picked this up in Radical Media, it was given to Netflix, and they had it. I love Joe Berlinger, and I love all of his work. Paradise Lost was my favorite, but there's so many. He has covered so many cases, but he always stood up for the wrongfully accused, and he never had a problem throwing the county sheriff or the state police or the whole state. Never had a problem exposing the bad, whether it's a company or law enforcement, wrongfully accused, and actually, did such a good job in his work that I said that because you're doing this, I still don't trust it 100%. I don't know what you're doing with this. And he said, I can't promise you anything. I can't. And I said, I don't want editorial control. All I want for you to do is create doubt. And it sounds like by everything that why you're coming to me would mean that that's what you're looking for, is to have this other side, to this very copy-pasted narrative that we've been dealing with for over 40 years. So,
were they surprised about how much information you had?
Yes, and that's why they kept. I talked to the executive producer and the producer. I talked to them for about 2 years, and I said, everything we talk about is off the record. I'm still not deciding I'm doing this. And we talked so much, and they just said, we need you. We need this. And this is amazing of, how the story is still being told the other way. Let's bring this in. And, I backed it up with documents. I backed it up with everything. It's not like I was just making things up and saying, I'd like to be there. And I thought that they did. It came out so nicely because it was just enough doubt that it wasn't like conspiratorial sounding. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is going way down in this rabbit hole. And I loved, there was at least 15, interviewees on there that were, backing little things up, that were saying other things that just didn't match up. Authors even have the DuPage County coroner, Pete Seekman, on there.
Mm-hmm.
I met with him 15 years ago, and in his office, he gave me my mom's report, and I told him, something is wrong, and he, never heard from him again, but to see him on here questioning, saying, there probably were more dead, and I just couldn't believe it, that was coming out of his mouth, and saying, maybe people are coming around, maybe they will start talking. So, I find this an absolute blessing that something on such a massive platform is the first time my voice is heard about it, and it's not some weird YouTube video that no one sees.
Right.
So it's fantastic.
Yeah. For me, watching it, it was well done. I mean, they got into it, they went into it slow, and they would do each interview, and then they would show what they have to back it up.
Yeah.
And they had their facts straight as far as what they did. And I thought it was very well done, and the production was great too. I just didn't know what it was like on your end, being a part of it and not seeing the finished product until I think you got a preview before it was released, didn't you?
Yeah, it was released on May 26th. That was Memorial Day on Monday, and they sent it to me on Friday. So I watched it 20 times before it was released. But even the first time watching it, my husband, who had been worried sick for me because for 8 months my stomach was turning. For 8 months I didn't really sleep because I was thinking, what are they going to do with this information? And I don't want to be a part of something that's like J&J is so amazing. We love Johnson & Johnson. They're the gold standard of crisis management. And by the way, it's probably James Lewis. I was so worried about that.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so worried that my critical input would be on the cutting room floor. And we're just going to use the 8-year-old girl crying story and do that and ignore the other things. And that didn't happen. So when I was watching it the first time and they sent me the link, I started watching it, and my husband came out of his office because I was like clapping. Yay! Oh my God, you're on there! Oh my God, you're on there! And my husband, knowing how insane I am about the way people present this case, was like, I cannot believe you're smiling. I cannot believe you're not, completely enraged by, how could they do this? That totally stinks. So, yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, first time watching it, I was like, whoa, here's our girl, and you come on the first episode, and it was just a little bit. I'm like, dang, I hope that ain't it. And by the time the second episode comes on, you're just taking over.
Yeah, and the third one, I think when they went into the, investigative side, wish there was a little less of James Lewis, but, this podcast right now, I haven't spoken, I have no social media, I don't do any of that, I have not made any public statement about this Netflix, and that came out 5 months ago, so FYI, this is the first talking about the Netflix publicly.
We feel very honored to have you on our show, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you guys respect me, so I appreciate that.
Well, we do respect you. We respect everybody we talk to. It's just what we do. It's our nature. So did anything you say during the interviews you did for Netflix not make the cut that you wanted out?
Oh, lots.
Really?
Well, she had
lots
7
and
hours.
lots.
I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
7 hours. Very true.
Yeah, it was a long day. And how many things exactly? I didn't record it, so I just know sitting there, going deep. And you know what? I'm glad. I'm grateful, I should say, because if you were to hear everything that I have, that would be too much. I mean, that's the Tylenol Mafia. That literally is the book, The Tylenol Mafia, Marketing Murder and Johnson & Johnson, an encyclopedia of information, by Scott Bartz. I contributed to it, and if you want to go deeper, good. But what this did was create a little doubt, have people questioning. I didn't do much going on the internet, seeing what people are saying as far as me and my work just as a whole, and I was 100% shocked and grateful to see doing just a few, didn't spend more than an hour, looking at. Of course, no major media picked up and did any articles about it because they've never done anything against Johnson & Johnson or anything about this case beside for, the old parroted story that they love so much. But I was really shocked because of the exposure that the docuseries did was talk about them lying about cyanide being in the plants. And reading this, I read a lot. James Lewis probably didn't do it. He's a whack job, but he probably didn't do it. And J&J is hiding something. And that was the first time ever in my life of reading anything online or other, newspaper articles, radio, anything, podcasts, that was the trend. And I was happy about that because even though I don't think that J&J, even though the cyanide was in their plant, I do not believe that this was done on purpose or anything like that there. I still am backing my theory. This is distribution only, not manufacturing and not store shelves. I was just grateful that people were finally questioning it and seeing it for the fraud that corporation is, policing themselves and all of that. And FYI, the author, Gardner Harris, that was interviewed on there, he was excellent. He had just written his book, No More Tears, had just come out just before this was released, but he had been working on it for years. He contacted me years ago, and I was completely stoked at the idea that he was on there. And a lot of people that were on there have actually read the Tylenol Mafia, Marketing Murder, and Johnson & Johnson. That's what got them going, thinking maybe, there's a different side to this very old, protected story.
Yeah, very much so. There was one guy, and I wish I'd have wrote his name down. It was like some old footage that they showed, and the guy was going, well, I asked them if they were testing to see if they had cyanide in the pills, and the guy said, yeah. And he goes, if they're testing it, why are they testing it? And I'll just leave it at that. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, you guys take it from here. That is Dr. Robert Stein. He is the Chicago Medical Examiner, Dr. Robert Stein. I love him. I actually talked about him in our first episode last year. That's what he was saying. Chicago wasn't buying the James Lewis, wasn't buying the store shelves. They were actually, but FBI wanted this to happen on the store shelves. Chicago was not. And so Chicago has all of their own investigative records and things like that. Now, are they giving it to me? No, I have about 300 in the last year that I've been able to get. Actually, a little bit disappointed and disgusted that they gave it to these filmmakers before me, the victim's family member who's been begging for decades. But anyway, so they have that. But FBI right now is blocking Chicago police, and you'll actually see that at the end of Netflix, and that backs up my claim as well, that at the end of Netflix, they've got the print, kind of gives you an update on the case, and it says at the end, I was very happy that this ended up in there, was that they said that they were supposed to be getting a large amount of documents from Chicago PD and Illinois Attorney General, and FBI has been blocking that. And I have been finding the same thing is happening to me through a top FOIA lawyer in the country. It's happening to me too, through a law firm. So FBI doesn't have to answer to anybody, and they are not giving up anything. They just won't, and they're making sure nobody else does either.
Wow. That says a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It says a whole lot. What the heck?
I know. So last year, with all of my, sales, I have a whole binder here. Denied. And this is for everything. Illinois, all the towns, everything else. There's been a few things that I have received from the little villages and Keene County. They were the only ones that ever responded to me many, many years ago. But as far as now, been trying for so many years, sending a new FOIA. Okay, this is unduly burdensome, which means to them that it's too much. I put this in and there's too many things that are coming back. Okay, well, I'll take anything that's coming back. I want it all anyway, so that doesn't, just give me whatever pops up. And then I was trying to be more specific. I want the, this bottle, where this came from, this and that. Well, some of the things that I have received back that have not been denied, that they give me very vague and simple paperwork and documents for that, most of it is redacted. And so I find it repulsive that the documents that I have received, even pertaining to the chain of custody of these 8 bottles, that they're even redacting how many. They're redacting expiration dates, which, again, is one of the most important things to me. They're redacting how many tainted capsules of each of those bottles. I already know all of this information because I did my research way before they were sending out documents. This was just old news clips and things like that was discovered in. But they are redacting even statements like in my mom's, the police report at our house that day, of even what my grandma said to them, things like that. They're completely redacting things. Redaction should be left to people that, any sort of like social security number, address of a witness, things like that, date of birth, those things. But anything that has something to do with an officer, they even have officers' names redacted out of interviews and testing and things
like that.
What the heck? That should not be legal.
No.
So after all these attempts, so I reached out to, it's Siri Glinstead. They're in New York. And I had seen Aaron Siri do quite a bit of work with suing and getting information from FDA, pharmaceutical companies, things like that. I'm like, that's going to be my guy. That I want him. And I want to see, if I can get some help. I called the firm and told them, I am really good at writing FOIAs, but I think your name on this might help. So they let me know what their price per hour was. And I said, okay, I could probably afford about 5 minutes of your time. And I'll plan for that. And she said, wonderful. people, but they said, if you're so good at writing FOIAs, why don't you do this? You write the FOIA up, send it our way. We'll look it over, and then we'll send it, and you pay us, and we'll do that. I said, okay. So I'm all set, not knowing I can go, not really thinking this could be this everlasting relationship. Lawyers are really expensive, and they do a really good job. So within 48 hours, 2 days or so of talking and making this appointment and getting set up for my first FOIA to email to them, I received an email from their firm and let me know that somebody, and that somebody ended up being ICANN. It stands for the Informed Consent Action Network. They had reached out to them and said that they wanted to support me. Michelle Rosen is hiring you to do this. We back her, and they are actually paying for. So Siri Glimstad is doing the work. ICANN Action Network is paying for all of my legal fees, and I've been doing this now for 15 months. Lots of declines, and I'm actually in appeal right now in Illinois. Got to see what happens with that appeal. Letting my declines, and I have received quite a bit too from the towns, and one from Chicago. But all in all, I probably have 450 to 500 pages total, and there's about, I'm assuming, 500,000 pages that are received. So nothing of significance, except for there's been a few gems. I mean, I have found a few gems that I don't think they intended for me to get that aren't redacted.
What kind of gems are you getting? Can you tell us? What are you getting?
I think I actually sent it to you when I received it. I texted. I said, "Oh, it was more like a holy crap moment."
Yeah.
And it was an interview that was done on the distribution warehouse in Melrose Park, Illinois, where I think all of this happened. And it said that they distribute to nursing homes, hospitals, and the Department of Defense. And right there, where I have been saying, I believe my mom received her tainted Tylenol from the hospital, and we know that no madman could be breaking into a secured hospital pharmacy.
Exactly.
And then the Department of Defense, because I've been arguing about these 1987 expiration dates since the beginning, which the significance of that is that the shelf life allowed for acetaminophen for retail consumption is 3 years. And we knew that these were manufactured in 1982, early 1982, which means those expiration dates should be 1985.
Correct.
And they were all 1987, except for my mom's regular strength Tylenol, which I don't believe had anything to do with this crime, whatsoever. So when I saw that altogether, and I knew that they had distributed it to hospitals, I knew that all of this, but to see it in one sentence like that, and I guess the red flag, the scary thing was that nursing homes was right before it. And remember, we had this long talk about how many people died in that hospital, how many people were dying from this. And then to see nursing homes, right before that too, I'm like, oh my gosh, that could have gone completely unnoticed.
Yeah.
Elderly people in a nursing home. So
that's really scary.
Why do you think they're redacting all these law enforcement personnel out of this?
So you don't contact them?
Yeah, you think that's it?
No, I think that it's we can black out whatever we'd like. We are not giving you anything. They have no problem having that attitude, double down, triple down, even when it's illegal for them to be holding this against me. I have a lawyer, even other investigators, that have asked for these things. You cannot keep keeping this a secret. And so I think it's to protect themselves. And I really think that they understand that there is interest here. Did the Netflix thing do it? No. It's just adding to it for the general public. But there's been authors, there's been people like me, there's been other people that have, tried to get documents, anything on this case, and we have been stonewalled. And now I feel that we've talked about this, the first known act of terrorism through food. This is the biggest drug warning in U.S. history. It's the largest case of destruction of evidence ever in U.S. history. And they're keeping their story the way they want it. And the way they want it is, it's only down to these 8 models, 7 people died from it, and James Lewis is our guy, and they are still saying it. You watch the Netflix thing, you'll see more things in the future. But those FBI agents, they love to say this story, and they love to talk about how great and these sting operations that they do, and how they know what they're talking about. I find it disgusting, and hilarious at the same time, just because of the fact that I'm like, I still can't believe you're still talking about this in this way when you are actually the gatekeeper of all of this information. It's really sad and criminal. And
the one thing we can't get past is the remanufacturing and the rebranding of the product over what was it, 5 weeks?
Yes, and I was really surprised. That's one thing I wish was in there, but that's okay. We don't just need to depend on 3 episodes of 40 minutes to tell us the whole story. Maybe people will start looking into this. But yes, that 5-week turnaround, there's the September 28th, the day before, these other 5 murders that I'd like to talk about too, that are like key to this. The 5-week turnaround of concept to fully implemented with a marketing campaign and commercials all done in 5 weeks in 1982, mind you.
Yes.
Machines, bottling process, all of these things added and back on the market.
And have the technology to be able to reproduce that over 5 weeks.
Yes.
To be able to come up with that, yeah.
I have to say,
on
you
a
guys
mass scale.
inspired me. You guys inspired me on the first one. I did start looking into patents on those machines. So that is my next big step. I will be looking into that. And what other pharmaceutical companies did they sell? That too. Don't know what I'll find, but I'm definitely looking. I appreciate that. Because when I had originally looked, that's what started me on this in the whole, in the beginning. And like I said, my husband said, why don't you check into patents, and whoever patented the safety seal probably has something to do with it. And y'all had brought up the idea of maybe the machinery. And I said I never thought about it in that way. So I would like to know who made those machines, how they get them so fast, and how did this rollout happen, by November 11th.
Yeah, you just don't have machines sitting around to be able to do this just, on a mass scale.
No.
Well, especially when this is the first safety seal going on.
Yes.
So you're doing the foil, you're doing the plastic wrap, and you're doing that ring around the cap.
Mm-hmm.
When this had never even been, this was a new concept. What materials would you use? How would we keep people out of these bottles? What are we going to do? So it's
test
not
market.
even like, it's not even like the machines. Even there wouldn't even be machines sitting around, because the idea, a safety seal drawn on a piece of paper, a prototype was never even done. This had never been thought of before.
I don't think they could have come up with a way to glue the damn box shut in 5 weeks, much less the other parts.
And they'd have to test manufacture it too. It's not like just
a lot. The
Oh,
shrink
yeah.
wrap around the whole neck and the top of the bottle, not including the full safety seal on the inside. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's
and
a
then
lot.
you think about how long that would take, that you would need to do test runs to make sure that everything is in there and secure and test that. You'd have to do test runs of all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And, once that's done, multiple rounds back then when, with quality control and R&D, that you would be polling on this. Could a child get into this? Could anyone just open this in the store? And, how good does this glue work? Gotta, use something else. Maybe it's too much. Maybe it's not enough.
Right.
The foil doesn't stick just right. And especially that plastic ring. That plastic ring around the cap that we still use today. I mean, everything is used exactly. It pretty much looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Of that rollout after 5 weeks. Is still in 2025. We have the same.
Pretty much the same technology, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from the Netflix series? You said people have reached out to you, a lot of people. What have you heard? Good, bad?
Well, I don't think that you'd say anything bad directly to me. Most of the time, I heard from some journalists, and I just say thank you, but I pretty much haven't responded to old friends, people that come out of the woodwork, but also in general, general public, my neighbors. Oh my gosh, I saw that. It was so great. Thank you.
Okay.
That sort of thing. But the greatest thing of people, acquaintances, and things of, oh my gosh, I saw that. Great job. I had no idea. And that's what I love, is I had no idea. Not only that you're involved in this, but also what happened here. And I've got some, question marks about it.
Yeah.
So that's been really good, and positive. And like I said, I'm not on social media. I'm not talking about this in public. I'm not, doing that. I'm letting people watch and take from it. And there'll be more. I know that there will be other things to come. And I'm actually considering, because there are some deep dives and some other other paths that I would like to do episodes just on this, like the eighth bottle. I would love to do an entire episode just on the eighth bottle and the questions and the crazy that surrounds that bottle and what would happen. So I would like to go into deep dives specifically on, the rollout, that, and also the other cyanide murders that are considered not related to our 7 victims on September 29th.
Yeah, there were 5 additional murders, yeah.
Yeah, well, that I know of. And I actually know all the facts about them, but I'm pretty sure, there's still many, many more.
Let's talk about that a little bit now.
You want to do it? Okay,
yeah,
great.
Tell us what you know about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the first episode that I did with you, I talked a little bit about that grad student in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, the 26-year-old William Pasquale, and that was in April. That was April 3rd, 1982. That is the first that I know of, the earliest that I know of, but that was right after manufacturing of the Tylenol. And remember, when all of these that I tell you about, because they happened in advance before the actual Tylenol murders, when people started putting 2 and 2 together, that cyanide and Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol, are the cause of these. By the time we go back to these other victims, those bottles are long gone. So we don't have a lot number for them. We don't have that specifically, but we knew that they were taking it. So I'll tell you about that. So William Pasquale, 26 years old. Try getting any information on that case. You're not going to get it. It's a suicide, and that's all that is happening over there. I have tried to get any documents for that case, and they are keeping that just as secret as the Chicago, Tylenol cyanide murders.
What kind of guy was this Pasquale guy? What kind of?
He was a 26-year-old grad student. So, just getting life started, and that was, ruled a suicide. And he had, there was a bottle of, or capsules of Tylenol with cyanide that was found, but he's still written off as a suicide. In July 26, 1982, so this is a couple months before my mom died, Jay Mitchell, he's 19 years old. He's in Sheridan, Wyoming. And he supposedly commits suicide. His mom and brother knew that he did not commit suicide. And they also knew that he had taken Tylenol a few hours before he died. But again, they knew he didn't commit suicide then, but it's not, remember, you have to wait now until September 29th and go, holy moly, that happened to Jay a couple months ago, and maybe this is connected. And everyone's saying, nope, investigators, nope, not connected whatsoever. But the store, even though they didn't have the bottle anymore, but the store that he had bought his from is the same distribution as all of our other victims. And so both his mom, and his brother, like I said, they had said that he had consumed Tylenol hours before being found dead, but the bottle had been thrown out. So Chicago PD goes out there, talks to the family after September 29th. So he's going out there. He comes back. This is Chicago PD Sergeant comes back to Chicago. October 10th, 1982, so we already had our extortion, we're already recalling, all of these things are happening like wildfire in Chicago. And the Chicago PD sergeant comes back. His quote, turned up nothing in the Sheridan case after returning back from Wyoming. Even though these victims have the same cyanide dosage in their stomach as Chicago, it is not related, people. It is not related.
Come on.
You picking up on the pattern here?
Oh yeah.
Oh
We
yeah.
cannot have anyone decide for these 7 because anyone outside of these 7 means there's not a madman going store to store.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the
You need
narrative.
to keep exactly. And what's the liability there when you have people dying in April? There's July, and how about Mark Husted? He was 32. That was September 14th. So now we're 2 weeks before the murders, and Mark Husted flies in from Florida and is visiting his friend, stops, gets Tylenol along the way, they assume, and he dies. Well, there was some relationship with this person and him that they said that they were trying to make it like this is a overdose on drugs, cocaine or something. And so written off as some other complication, an overdose or something drug related, not drug acetaminophen, but drug as far as street drugs go, recreational, whatever. So September 15th, the next day, the autopsy was inconclusive. But then 2 weeks later, the murders happened, and his father, Mark Husted's father, has them go back and retest after these murders come out and say, hey, maybe. And sure enough, they find acetaminophen and cyanide in his blood and the tissues. And those second tests came back before the actual Tylenol murders. But the results of these tests were not released until January 13th of 1983. So why did they keep this information that here we have a 32-year-old 2 weeks before the murders? We've got these test results, and it has acetaminophen and cyanide in his blood and tissues. And they don't release the results to the family. They never did it to the news. The news isn't hearing any of this. So that family has been struggling for all these years. I know that Jane Mitchell's mom, the one in Wyoming, she's 84 years old now and still fighting.
Wow.
To please link my son's murder with this, and he did not commit suicide. Still to this day, still saying just heartbreaking that this mother is 84 and still her son cannot be seen as a part of this. So I don't know much about Galen Perriott. He was 30. I know he died December 1st, 1982, after he was one of the ones that must have still just had a bottle and dies. But we know that the contents of his stomach matched up with the acetaminophen and cyanide. And there's one more, and that is Mary Louise Watkins. She was 21, living in Chicago. So she's another Chicago person in the city. And that was August 15th. So it was actually, I'm sorry, I went so late with this one. She should have been before Mark Husted. But so August 15th, so a month and a half before the murders. And it was ruled suicide or cocaine overdose. There was cocaine in her system. But they go and test after the murders happen, go and retest, and on October 13th, they find that she has cyanide as well. Now, they say, the Cook County assistant, which I think this is just irresponsible and gross, but they said they can't definitely find a link because we don't know the source of the cyanide, because they didn't actually physically have a bottle of extra-strength Tylenol, even though she has cyanide and acetaminophen in her system. Now, how are they finding these out later? I'll tell you, it's Cook County, and that's why I'm not having anything outside of, beside for William Pasquale, whose families were adamant this was not a suicide, and Jay Mitchell and Sheridan, I know this isn't a suicide. But these other 3 Cook County people, Chicago medical examiner, when someone died of unknown causes or a possible overdose or a suicide, they always tested for acetaminophen because they wanted to see if it was accidental, because Tylenol and acetaminophen can easily kill you without unintentionally, overdosing on that. So if they would always test for acetaminophen when these cases happen without blaming the acetaminophen for it, but it was on their record. So that's why once September 29th comes around and we've got 7 people dead, all with acetaminophen and cyanide now, that they went back into those Cook County files and searched for anyone who had died with acetaminophen in their system, and then retested that blood to see if it had cyanide in it. And these 3 came, but not related.
Good gracious. And there's no telling how many maybe elderly people in nursing homes and hospitals that were given Tylenol that were just written off as natural causes.
Or a heart attack or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and I've always said that, and I'm so glad that this was able to come up with you and come up again on the series. And the older sick, even if you're young and very sick and you're in bed or you're recovering from something, pneumonia, and you take, this and you die, those unsuspecting things that this could be murder and not just, death with natural causes, because we're not testing for cyanide. But, I'd use the example about driving, in your car and go into seizure and crash. I also thought about, the guy that just had his hip replaced or has a sore back, takes it, and wife comes home and you're at the bottom of the stairs, and you're just thinking that you fell down the stairs and, something happened. All these things, anything is possible. And the number, so I had taken the 8 bottles that we have with our 7 victims. I put the times that they died, how many capsules were consumed in each bottle, each one. Did they die on their first dose? How many tainted capsules were in each of those? And I made an Excel chart. This is years ago. So this person dies at this time. This person dies at this time. This is how many they consumed. This is how many tainted were in it. And sent it to a PhD in statistics in New Hampshire, a professor out there. And I sent it to him. And I said, can you please clarify that our numbers are correct? And this was Scott Bartz, the author of The Tylenol Mafia, at the time had said that in order for these 7, in this amount of time with what was consumed on this day with how many bottles are out there at this moment, there had to be 316 bottles on the shelves at the time for these 7 to have the chances that could possibly happen. And that was just with the amount of bottles, the 100 million bottles that are out on the retail stores at the time. But also, that wasn't even going deep into the radius of what town they're in and what are the chances that all of these people would be within miles of each other, such and such and such. So that ended up being like 1 in a million that would happen to you, and you would pick up one of these bottles, that happened. But 316 was the number of how many bottles had to be just for these 7, to consume. So we don't know. I mean, that's just a statistic. We know that things can happen out of the ordinary. I'm not saying that there were 316 bottles, but that's what the numbers added up from a PhD in statistics, and Scott Bart's doing this in his book. Both came up with the same number of these 7 victims.
Daggum.
It's crazy.
It is. How much of FOIA information is still out there you're waiting for? Do you know?
Oh, how many are just sitting and getting denied that I'm still waiting? I'm in appeal right now with Illinois Attorney General's office, and I think they are down to their final days of needing to respond before that. I'm letting these stack up, and probably should be I like to be more of a cat in the grass with this strategy that I'm about to do. I'll tell you, I'm about to build a case, and I'm just going to start suing. That's just the way it's going to go.
Oh, wow.
I don't care if I'm a victim's daughter. I don't care if you're an investigator. I don't care if you're a podcaster that wants to cover this story. You could be a cashier at the convenience store, and you deserve this information as well. Anyone that wants this information should be getting this information, and why this isn't public knowledge at this point, because they're covering this up. And, you know, when I do finally get something and I get further, and let's say they go, we give up, which they never will, but we give up, here's all the files. I promise you every bit of pertinent information, anything that involves J&J, anything that involves these scoundrels, and the real answers, I'm confident all of that has been long destroyed already.
Wouldn't doubt that a bit.
Yeah, it just seems to me, too, the lawyers that are working on your behalf for all these FOIAs, I mean, they've got to see that there's something there for them to do this.
How damn sketchy it is, yeah.
And that's what I love about it, hon. I mean, that's what's so fabulous about this situation. And me calling that very firm, just because I had seen their work before, that me calling them, they having no idea who I am, even anything about this case, and then explain what I'm doing. Here's all my previous FOIAs that I've been sending since 2007. This is why everything is sealed. We reactivated the case, blah, blah, blah. And when I told them the FBI doesn't even have jurisdiction over this case and never did, because product tampering was a misdemeanor, which no one believes, but it had never happened before. So it was a Class B misdemeanor. So the FBI should not have touched this case ever. I wouldn't mind, some help, but they swooped in and took it. And that was for the reason of protecting this corporation and making sure the real story and how many people might be out there isn't. And they still, are standing strong to this day. But this law firm is saying, what? They don't even have jurisdiction. I said, okay, I'll send you all of that too. And let me send you everything. Let me give you a little heads up, and I'll tell you about my nightmare trying to get these questions answered. I can't even get an interview with any of them. Not that I would want one, but and they're still out running around. These FBI agents, supposedly retired, that love to put on their tie and go on any interview possible in newspapers and Chicago Tribune and all these other garbage pieces that, they love to sit around and talk about what a great job they've done. But we just can't nab James Lewis. We just can't get him. You know what stops you from arresting somebody and convicting them is actual, not having any evidence, which you don't have. So please just stop. So I don't know. I don't know what they think now at this point. Just to see that there are other people besides for Michelle Rosen running around screaming, saying there's something wrong here. I want the files. There might be a lot more people out there now, and I just want more of these things to keep coming out.
Yeah, I don't guess you've heard or seen anywhere maybe Johnson & Johnson made any kind of statement after the Netflix series came out or anything. I don't guess.
Oh, come on, babe.
I'm just throwing it.
When they kill people, they don't talk about it. But
I'm throwing it out there. I'm throwing it out there in case they listen.
Yeah, no, they. So you'll find this came out. Why is there no cease? How did this come out in the first place? This is actually a great topic. I love that you're asking this. I'm not sure if you're aware. So you've seen this Netflix thing talking about maybe the Tylenol cyanide murders didn't happen the way that they claim. And then last month you have this huge insanity of Tylenol linked to autism, and everyone's screaming and yelling about that, and it's all over the place. Where's Johnson & Johnson in all this? Okay, well, fact is, in 2023, right about the same time that our extortion writer, James Lewis, dies, sorry, I said that so weird. Johnson & Johnson creates this spin-off company called Kenvue, Kenvue. Johnson & Johnson creates Kenvue, and is going to put all of their consumer products over there, and Johnson & Johnson will still hold their medical devices and pharmaceuticals. So all the over-the-counter baby products, Max, you can have Band-Aids, all of that is going now under Kenvue, this new spinoff. And it's its own entity, which you know what's going on. Liability. This stuff is about to come out. Let's not have Johnson & Johnson's name on this anymore.
Exactly.
So actually, Johnson & Johnson's name is no longer a part of Tylenol. So that's how you're seeing this come out, and that's why you're seeing they're branched off. So that was 2023. I believe it was, I don't know, I'm thinking 91% is what's in my head for giving 91% of Tylenol and those products to this new spin-off Kenvue. And then in 2024 summer, they decide they're going to break away completely, and the rest of the 9% ends up in Kenvue as well. So no, there's absolutely no ties or liability for Johnson & Johnson now with these others, with these brands. It's one of those coincidences again, huh, boys?
Exactly, yeah. Wow.
I love all their coincidences. I love these pointed questions where you're like, okay, so wait, the timing of that, yeah, you could say I sure like the timing of a lot of these things.
Perfect, as usual.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when it goes back to where they let them police themselves and they tested their stuff themselves and then destroyed everything, you can kind of look to how everything's getting twisted towards them anyway.
Yeah. The police themselves and the FBI and the FDA allowing them to.
Right.
And
It's
not
bullshit.
only did they allow the FBI and just handing over, but the whole thing is, it's a cheerleading squad handing it over with praising how wonderful they are to do this.
Yeah, Reagan giving
And
him
then-
props. Here, he is awesome. You're great. Here, do some more.
It is, when we say shameful or repulsive or disgusting, no, this is pure criminal. This is illegal and criminal. And these people are the same ones trying to tell us today still that James Lewis is our guy, but they never ever talk about. They talk about Johnson & Johnson helping them, allowing them to use their labs, and we'll go ahead and test it ourselves. So it's not just the FBI, but, the FDA, who exonerates these people within 3 weeks. Only by Friday, 2 days after the murders, Wednesday, the murders happen. Thursday, we figure out what's doing it. By Friday, the FDA is unofficially exonerating J&J of any wrongdoing. It didn't happen at a plant. We know that because there's these two plants, and we just keep going back to these two plants and not talking about this very complex distribution channel, all these warehouses and all these stores having all of this distribution channel in Melrose Park, Illinois, as the common denominator of all these bottles. And then FDA officially exonerating them within 3 weeks, which like I've said a million times, you can't even go through one plant or one facility thoroughly and honestly in 3 weeks. And now we're going to say that this whole corporation nationwide, nothing's going on here, folks.
Right. Yeah, the documentary, we said he went in and within a couple of hours, they'd come out and say, yeah, it's all clear.
That guy, yeah. Cheaper. Coming out. Yeah, it's looking good, folks. It's looking good. What a schmuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And so one of the things that wasn't mentioned in the doc, or we didn't talk about on our longest episode ever last time, was so we talked about the gold standard of crisis management, but one of the things that we never talked about was the $100,000 reward that Johnson & Johnson had put out in 1982 for any information. And that $100,000 is still that same number to this day. So think about what $100,000 meant in 1982.
A lot.
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot. And then you have them never raising it, never talking about it again, but never removing it, but never promoting. Remember, that's still out there, and keeping it at $100,000. Does that sound like a motivation or incentive to want to get the public trying to find out information? $100,000 is a lot of money, but it's not Johnson & Johnson money. They
No.
spend that in like 1 second of a commercial.
Yeah, that's a drop in the bucket
So
for them.
they have a $4 billion, something like it was like $4 billion they've spent in PR on this thing. But yeah, $100,000 reward. Do you see how motivating and how much they really want answers and justice for the victim's family?
Right.
Yeah, they don't want anything. They just want to get going and not anybody talking about it or anybody doing any documentaries on it.
Oh, trust us, hospitals do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's the drug that hospitals use most. Yes.
A little glare in the teeth.
I'm a happy mom, and I take Tylenol because my hospital gave it to me. All right, I'm not getting in this mood, guys.
One thing I've always thought about, just going back to your mom a little bit, and she came home from the hospital, and she just given birth. What was the Tylenol she had? How was it packaged? Do you remember what she had? Was it in
she had
was it in
a
a
bottle of regular strength. She had a 50-count bottle of regular strength Tylenol.
that they gave her at the
But
hospital?
That was regular strength that she purchased at the store.
Okay.
What I believe, that this is where those documents are covered, and it is redacted and hidden from the truth. I'm saying I believe every bit of evidence points to the fact with what was left in her regular strength bottle after she died, when they collected that bottle, were 6 capsules of extra strength. 4 of those 6 were tainted. So she took 2 of those. Whether 1 or 2 of them, of the number capsules 7 and number 8, whether both of them had cyanide or one of them, we know at least 1 did. So how did they get there? Why did they get there? And that was the question. And so when she did leave the hospital, and you're leaving with this goodie bag of whatever might have been in hers, not sure, unpacking your suitcase after your 5-day stay in the hospital, maybe discovered it, maybe took the 2, it's in a blister pack. And those blister packs still do have lot numbers on them. The hospital still has to, when they make that blister pack and seal that up in the hospital pharmacy, that would be crimped, like a seal on it, and it would have all the information about where this Tylenol came from. So it would have an expiration date, and it would have a lot number on there. There was a lot number that was released on Friday that we've never seen again, which I always just wonder, was that the lot number for that hospital? Which it was announced and then by Friday morning disappeared. So I'm assuming that was that. And again, these things are my assumption. This is where my research has taken me. I did go to the investigator that came to our house the next day after we discovered this is cyanide and came and collected. And in the coroner's report, how it says, go back to the house and collect any Tylenol in bottles or not in bottles. That was my kind of red flag. What are you thinking? Why would this not be in a bottle? Go look for any Tylenol that you can. That was the coroner's report. So I went to the investigator that did go back to the house and collect. And he said, he couldn't tell me that. So,
Wow.
I said, did you find that wrapper? Did you find it? And no comment. Didn't say no, but didn't say yes. And that was I sat down with him. And then after that, things just got pretty weird.
So you're thinking that the blister pack was emptied and put into the bottle with the others?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
that makes sense why it would be different. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right. Well, when they act like it was so strange that my mom had this regular strength bottle and these other things, but the count of the regular strength still added up. It's not like that came from the store with tainted in it. No regular strength did. I find it weird that even though she had a bottle of regular strength, Johnson & Johnson refused to recall any regular strength, knowing none had cyanide in it. Well, how did you know that? How were you so confident when my mom's had this? Because you know where she got hers from. You've already got your lots already figured out. But when we have a unusual bottle, and even though it's regular strength, it's still not what extra strength was in there. But our other beautiful victim, Mary McFarland, our 31-year-old mother of 2, she had her extra strength Tylenol in a dress stand bottle, and only because it was smaller. So you'd buy the 50 count bottle, and she had like this little travel size one in her purse at the time that had the extra strength Tylenol in it. Nobody made a big deal about that. It's okay to put other things in other bottles. And also, at the time, with the mix-ups, I went into this a little bit in our episode with you before, but our mix-ups, I talked about fingernails and other metal flakes and other things being, in these bottles that never had to be reported that was coming out of these. We had 300 mix-ups in extra-strength Tylenol before the murders. And with those mix-ups, we've got foreign objects, but we also have wrong medicines that are capsules, different kinds. This doesn't belong here, or, other odd objects in these bottles that are happening too. So I think all of those things should be looked into and saying, this isn't a closed case, cut and dry, the way that they're making it seem. With these mix-ups, the complex distribution channel, all of these hands that these bottles are coming through from manufacturing to your store shelves. We're talking about dozens, possibly dozens of hands, but at least 5, that are going in and before they get to our store shelves in the first place.
Where are you wanting this to go now? I mean, you've had the Netflix series, you've got a lot of FOIA information coming in. What are you wanting to happen now, Michelle?
I just want the information. I really don't care if nothing else is ever made. This is, like I said, I've declined every interview. It's awareness, of course. Mm-hmm. But I want the documents, and I want all of them.
No redactions, yeah.
Yeah, and even so, with the redactions, I can deal with that stuff later. But yeah, how long do families have to wait with all these question marks here where you can keep documents sealed? You can keep spewing your same lies as agencies, not the company. We expect Johnson & Johnson to be, covering their own behinds. We've seen that, and they're allowed to police themselves as well. No, not us. But these investigators, admit that these other murders that we know of for sure, that have cyanide and acetaminophen, same contents, as our other victims, put them in there too, and make this, and just admit the evidence that we actually have.
Yeah, for sure.
And display this and allow, like I said, not just for victims' family members or content creators. The guy at 7-Eleven should see this too. We're all consumers. This happened to all of us. And the irresponsibility and the secrecy in this very comfortable place that they've been in for 42 years now. It's 43 years just happened in September, but I say for 42 years, really beside for the Tylenol Mafia, Marketing, Murder, and Johnson & Johnson. That was the only book that exposed any of this, and that was released anniversary in 2011. It was September 26th, 2011, that Scott Parks put that book out. Mm-hmm. Saw it on the news. Has no merit. Does J&J have a comment? Has no merit. How could you read it? It's kind of about as fast as they exonerated the, FDA exonerated them. It's got no merit, even though, it just was released today and it's 600 pages, but okay. So that didn't get the attention that I hoped, but I will say that between this filmmaker, the people that just did this, the authors that are in that film, even down to medical examiners, and police Chicago superintendent that's mentioned in there that is interviewed in this Netflix. Everyone has read this book. And that's what makes me so happy to realize I knew something was wrong when I read, the Tylenol Mafia. And that's what's so cool. And that's what inspires, people to say, maybe I can make something about this.
Dadgum. Is there anything we didn't ask that you want to tell that you can tell?
Well, my mind is full of information. So
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
So we've got 1987 expiration dates, which I want to keep saying over it. So we already talked about that. We already talked about the day before, right? Did we talk about that? The September 28th with the Kane County Sheriff's stumbling over all these bottles, and that's all covered up and cleared, not related. Talked about the other murders. 1986 happens 4 years later with Triple Sealed.
Yes.
this isn't happening in our plants, folks. Not happening. But we've got unadulterated bottles now are killing people 4 years later. And James Lewis is in jail by the time that happens anyway for extortion.
And Roger Arnold.
Yep.
Both are in jail.
Roger Arnold too for murder, right?
Right.
So all of these things. Is there anything else that? I mean, I guess we're just going to have to do another episode if something else comes up.
We'll definitely do another episode.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted on these FOIA, any successes and things. But as it goes now, we've got 7 healthy victims and all dying in 14 hours with 8 bottles out there, and we're still telling the same story beside for this.
It's sad.
It still blows my mind about the Howard Johnston thing, where those guys are getting sick for just touching them, and then they just sweep it under the rug. Especially after watching this again. I was telling Donnie, I said, I've watched this a couple times, and then I was actually listening to it at work today, and I said, it's still so interesting listening to this thing, the Netflix documentary, and the more information keeps coming out, it's like, it never gets boring because it's just so much what the hell's going on here the whole time.
And the fact that, we talked about when I did my other interview with you that, the 2 deputies didn't find anything suspicious about this and they did not realize that these are symptoms of cyanide exposure that they were both going through. How are you supposed to know that, right?
Correct.
But the fact that gets, these boxes are turned in by a doctor into Elgin, police department, and then by the time they realize Thursday night comes around and realize, wait a minute, there was all that Tylenol that we found Tuesday morning. Go back, it's all cleaned up. But in the Netflix thing, actually, the report that they're saying using old footage says 200 capsules. My document right here in front of me says 31. And then it says no further testing. So they collected these things, and what happened in the testing? Whatever happened with this? It was supposed to go to Illinois State Police. Richard Reschek, the Chicago superintendent that was in the docuseries, says that too. Somehow it looks like it was sent to the wrong thing. I have those documents right in front of me that has the shipping label, and it says no further testing. So they did not find any relevance or reason to be testing when you have these deputies down, and literally could have saved everybody. If they would have done something with it.
Wow.
So I love the fact that you've got the Chicago superintendent, Richard Reschek, on there. I've talked to him a couple times in my life. I love that he's so open and candid about the way he felt back then, when really this case has been where you didn't really have anybody beside for, like that medical examiner at the time, Robert Stein saying, but why are you testing for cyanide? You people take it from here.
Yes.
You've got, this Chicago superintendent that's now saying Chicago knew it. This whole thing was so wrong what the FBI was doing, but what were we supposed to find? What is going on? We just knew what they were saying. It wasn't James Lewis wasn't our guy. I just wish that you could have said that 40 years ago.
Yes.
We might be in a whole new place at this point.
Took a whole different
People worry
direction
about
then.
pensions. Well, they worry about their jobs, and they worry about their pensions. And that was one of the things that when I had talked to Joe Chavez, that deputy sheriff back then, that's what all the interviews that I was trying to reach people at that time. I don't want to have anything to do with this. It's basically that kind of mentality. Like, wow. So.
Yeah, we might be having a whole different story if it had done different back then.
Yes, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'll keep you posted, and also, and you keep me posted.
Yes.
Anything good? Anyone reaches out on your end saying, hey, where'd that information come from? I'd like to, cover that too. So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Hopefully this Department of Defense thing pans out, with this 1987, because those should not have been on those shelves. So that's a lot of my direction is September 28th, the Howard Johnson thing. Those shouldn't have been there. Why were they there? And then these 1987 expiration dates.
Yeah.
Did you notice the Netflix didn't blur out the 1987
Yeah.
expiration date when everyone else is doing it?
Yeah, for sure. I was like,
them
we'll
that.
take a
It was
picture of the
great.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was
Well,
awesome.
I sent you that one from Chicago Tribune back in the day, and
Yep.
then the same exact one being used for that CNN garbage piece that they blurred out, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
took it right off. Like, wonder why. Why would they do that? There's no reason
Yeah.
except for one you know.
Yeah. So, well, I'll have to say, Radical Media and Joe Berlinger for this, they have guts. And the two directors, I never met them. They had the story before Radical Media had taken it over. Erie Pines. My goodness, I forgot the other person's name, but they originally had it. And I saw a couple interviews with them and how positive they were about discovering this evidence and how, great it was, what a great experience it was for them making it. So that was fantastic too. All right. So,
Well, Michelle, we certainly
Well, that's
appreciate you
about it.
coming on here and telling us more about this because we're all in on this. Yeah.
I love it.
And we
I
try-
love it. And I just can't believe we're 43 years in
I know.
and I have news. I have
Right.
like every day there's something more and you're going, should this really be? I was talking to my dad and I said, Dad, if this story, if this happened and Mom died and they actually found out who actually did it, not wrongfully accusing, and all of this was done, I would never be talking about this again. We'd be saying, that's really sad. Probably on the anniversary, go put, flowers on her grave, love her on Mother's Day, and think about her every day. But I wouldn't be talking out loud to the public or, oh, this happened to my mom. I never want to talk about this again. It's about the injustice. It's about these documents. It's about all these things that I want answers to. It's not about reliving this whole thing. We shouldn't even be talking about this right now. It should just be a tragic event in history at this point.
Yeah. It's all about the cover up.
Not an
and,
unsolved crime.
Yeah, them covering their butts. And you could have been living a whole different life and not doing all this.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
kudos to you for fighting the fight, Michelle, and
well,
seeking
I
this
appreciate
information.
it.
Yeah.
Never giving up.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
I'm
total
not giving up.
badass in
Total
our book. Yeah.
badass. Yes, exactly
Yeah.
what I was going
Here
to say.
that goes again. Wait, say it again.
Yeah, total badass.
Yeah, we appreciate
Oh
it.
my God.
No doubt. We'll get this episode ready and put it out Monday and get some more exposure to your fight.
Yeah, let's FOIA the heck out of these people, guys. Come
Yeah.
on, FOIA it up.
For you.
They got to cave sometime. There's a nice big pile adding
Yeah.
up here. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Love you, lady.
I definitely will too. Love you guys. Thank you. I'll
right.
see ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Dale. We want to thank Michelle Rosen again for coming on and talking
Man.
about her updates on the Tylenol murders and things, her fight that she's doing.
How awesome is she?
Oh, man, she's amazing, amazing lady. And just a super friend to us and the show. I mean, we'll get a text from her just out of the blue.
Yeah. What's up, guys?
Yeah, talking about stuff.
Got
and
some stuff going on?
Yeah, just
It's
great,
yeah, it's
man.
neat. It makes you feel good, man. It really
Yeah,
does.
and I appreciate her in trusting us to put her content out there.
Right.
That means so much to me.
Yeah.
I was telling my wife about it, that she actually trusts us with this content to put it out.
Yeah,
And-
well, she knows we're not going to fold it or bend it or try to do anything weird. It's just whatever she likes to say, we want to put it out the way she wants it to be heard.
Yeah, we just
So, right, there you go.
bring her into the fold, and she tells us her story, and we put it out there.
Right.
Yeah, that's all we do.
It's good to be friends with great people.
Oh, yeah, we've made so many friends doing this.
Yeah.
It's amazing. All right, bud, we're going to get out of here, man.
Yeah, let's go, man.
We want everyone to be safe. Please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is
The
the Crack House Chronicles.